Welcome back to the Introverted Leadership Podcast. This morning, I was reading a book called Do Hard Things. I put it down for a moment, took a sip of coffee, and stared out the window, and I started asking myself, what does do hard things mean for me? For most people, the answers come quick. Climb a mountain, run a marathon, start a company, break a record. That's where my mind went too. Big, bold, impressive. But then my thoughts drifted in a completely different direction, and what landed in my mind was baking. Now you might be thinking, baking? Really? That doesn't sound hard at all, but here's the thing. For me, baking is one of the hardest things I could choose to do. Why? Because baking demands precision. Every measurement has to be exact. There's no room for shortcuts. It requires patience. Sometimes you're waiting for hours between steps and you can't rush it, and it leaves almost no space for creativity. You can't improvise. You can't bend the rules. If you do, the whole thing collapses. And those three things, precision, patience, rule following, they're the very things I naturally resist. I thrive on flexibility, iteration, moving fast, adjusting as I go. Baking, on the other hand, forces me to slow down, to follow a process, to wait. That's what makes it uncomfortable, and that's exactly what makes it my hard thing. Reading that book reminded me, doing hard things isn't about the scale of the challenge. It's about the stretch. For some people, the mountain is literal. For others, it might be running a first 5K, learning to play an instrument, or yes, even learning to bake. The size of the challenge isn't the point. The point is that it pushes you. Doing hard things forces us into discomfort, and that's where growth happens. It builds resilience, adaptability, grit. It teaches us that uncomfortable doesn't mean impossible. It means we're standing at the edge of growth. And this is especially important for introverts, because many of us, myself included, are drawn to comfort zones. We like structure, predictability, routines that help us stay steady. These things help us thrive, but they can also keep us too safe. When we take on hard things, whatever they are, we intentionally step outside those zones. We discover new patience, new courage, new resourcefulness, and as leaders, those qualities make us stronger. So how do you start? You don't have to climb Everest. You don't have to run a marathon. Here's how I think about it. First, pick something small but hard for you. It doesn't need to impress anyone else. What's important is that you usually avoid it. Second, aim for stretch, not overwhelm. A hard thing should challenge you, not break you. Discomfort is good, distress is not. Third, stick with it long enough to feel the shift. The first few tries will feel awkward. Keep going until it feels just a little less foreign. Fourth, reflect on the growth. Journal about what you learned, not just about the task, but about your patience, your persistence, your mindset. And finally, repeat the practice, because growth compounds. The more often you do hard things, the easier discomfort becomes. Doing hard things doesn't always mean climbing mountains or running marathons. Sometimes it's as ordinary and as surprisingly difficult as baking bread. Because the real point isn't the size of the challenge. It's about what happens when we push ourselves past what feels comfortable. That's where growth lives. That's where resilience is built. And that's where we learn who we can become. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one hard thing this month. It might be small. It might look easy to someone else. But if it stretches you, it counts. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where your growth lives. Thanks for listening to the Introverted Leadership Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe to the Introverted Leadership newsletter. Find more episodes on YouTube. Download the free guide, 5 Strategies to Lead with Confidence, at projectscenarios.com. Explore the Introvert Leader's 4C decision-making framework on Kindle. And DM me. I'd love to hear your story.